as promised, from The Athletic as well as Fox Sports, none other than Bruce Feldman back here on the program. How are you, Bruce?
I'm doing well, Rich. Good to be on with you.
So what happened in Ohio State? Was this planned? What can you tell me about Urban Meyer deciding to step down and retire as head coach of the Ohio State?
You know, Rich, there were rumblings about it. People who were pretty close to Urban and pretty plugged into him thought there was a good chance this would happen. I work with Chris Carter, who's close to him, and he had told people that this was going to happen. On Saturday night before our Fox had the Big Ten title game, and I had done a big sit-down with Urban Meyer earlier in the week. And afterwards, I sat down with Rob Stone, who's our host, and he had asked me, where do you think he is after this? And I said, just that. It's just like Urban Meyer is a big go with his gut guy. And I think things swirl with him and go in all sorts of directions. And I will say this, on Monday when we sat down, he was in the best mood I'd ever seen him in. He was downright chipper, which is not a word I would normally use to describe him. But all he wanted to talk about was this next game, Northwestern. Everything was steered towards that. And then it was like, I think he had come to a decision in his head. Physically, he had been struggling all year. Obviously, there was a ton of stress. A lot of that certainly self-induced with the Zach Smith situation and how he handled that. And I think that started a lot of it. And now, we'll see if he ever coaches again. I don't know. I mean, he's still only 54 years old. We've seen this from him before with his exit at Florida. So, I think it's tough for a lot of people to go, yeah, he's done coaching, just because we've heard that before from him.
Yeah, I know. So that's tough to ask you the legacy question, what his legacy is, because as you pointed out, he left Florida over health concerns, went to ESPN, was actually a terrific analyst there before getting the job at Ohio State, which, was, I would say, his dream job, even though when he was at Utah, there was a conversation about Notre Dame being a great job for him or a dream job for him. And he's talking right now at Columbus. So I'm wondering if you really deep down think that he is, in fact, done coaching.
He's hard to predict on this. I mean, look, he sits out a year, and then what happens? Clay Helton's been on the hot seat. Then all of a sudden another huge job could come open and fall right into his lap. I don't know. I mean, he is 10 years older basically than he was last time out, and further along in his life, he's a grandfather now. So maybe this time it's different. I don't know. With Urban Meyer out there, though, or potentially out there are going to be some people looking at it going, this is what I'm getting to, is part of his legacy. He is the second best coach of his generation. And the guy he's second to is Nick Saban, who's the best college football coach in the history of the sport. So, you know what? He had a remarkable amount of success. There was a lot of drama around it. But at the end of the day, I mean, his winning percentage is staggering. And so I'm very curious to see how this is going to unfold going forward. I'm curious to hear how he explains some of this too, because we had seen all the shots of him on the sideline looking like he's in excruciating pain. He's had the brain cyst that he had gotten operated on before. Whenever I had talked to him specifically about it, he kind of deferred some of those questions, and he said, that's for a later time to really delve into that. He did say that he addressed some of it earlier in the year just because he felt like he was getting tired of the questions. Well, the questions are going to keep coming. We'll see how he handles them this time around and how forthcoming he really wants to be at this time.
And Bruce Feldman, Fox Sports, The Athletic, joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. And the questions won't always be for open jobs and the top college jobs or even the NFL. I mean, with the Cleveland Browns having an opening and Baker Mayfield right there, I mean, there's going to be a lot of conversation on that front just in the immediate term, and that would be difficult for him to retire from Ohio State and then turn around and show up in Cleveland. But all that said, Bruce, wouldn't you also say that it would be hanging over Ryan Day now that Ryan Day takes over, Bruce?
Yeah, absolutely. And that is the shadow that he's going to leave behind, and how close to it, and who knows. But, I mean, in a little bit, I don't want to say the situations aren't that similar, but Oklahoma had a transition. Bob Stoops walked away. It was more of a quick turnaround. Bob Stoops, almost the same point in his life, in his mid-50s, decided to walk away. And I don't think Bob Stoops is coming back to coaching. That I don't see. But Urban Meyer's there. He's followed by a guy who was a young, in his 30s, offensive coach who, by all accounts, is really brilliant offensive mind. Lincoln Riley's done terrific with the transition. I think Ryan Day will do really well. He's turned down opportunities. He could have been an offensive coordinator with the Tennessee Titans last year. He could have had a real good shot to be the head coach at Mississippi State. Didn't want to do that. Has had other opportunities in this coaching cycle because I think he knew that there was a decent chance this was going to happen. So, look, there's a lot of talent that's at Ohio State. They have recruited at a high level. And, I think there's the infrastructure of, similar to what Lincoln Riley inherited, a lot of those same people who put the product on the field are still going to be there in Columbus.
A few more minutes left with Bruce Feldman of Fox Sports in The Athletic. With the Green Bay Packers job open, what are the odds that the Michigan-Ohio State rivalry loses both its head coaches right now? There's a lot of rumors flying out there that the Packers might be interested in Jim Harbaugh. I'm wondering if you think the interest might be mutual.
I could see them being interested. Here's the thing, though, Rich, and you know Jim Harbaugh even better than I do. The ultimate competitor, how does he leave without beating his school's arch rival? The work is not done. I mean, to me, if you're the ultimate competitor, and about everything we know about Jim Harbaugh, he is that. How does he walk away from Michigan with that? I don't see that.
Well, I mean, the only way that it would be is if the feeling would be mutual with Michigan. I don't hear that. I don't think there's any smoke.
I don't think the feeling's going to be mutual. I mean, it wasn't like they were 4-8. I mean, they were 10-2. Yeah, they got drilled by their arch rival, but still, I just don't see. To me, that's waving the white flag, and I don't know who you're going to get. Who's Michigan going to turn around after he went through the Jim Harbaugh stuff? Gladly force him out at 10-2 and think you can do better.
I have no idea. I don't even want to think that. I'm just asking you if you are hearing anything on that front.
I'm not on that front. I think probably that's wishful thinking of some people who are probably a little tired of Jim Harbaugh. But I'd be surprised if he would exit that way. That just doesn't seem to be the way he's wired.
What about Lincoln Riley in that spot?
And my gut on this is Lincoln Riley knows he's going to have NFL opportunities for a long time. He knows he has the best AD in college sports in Joe Castiglione. Obviously, he's going to have to make some tough decisions and probably hire a new defensive coordinator. He'll find a new quarterback. Kyler Murray's going to go play baseball. But look, I mean, he just had one Heisman winner. There's a good chance he's going to have a second one. I think he stays in college for a while. He's got a young family. I think they stay in Norman. Even if the star comes calling.
This is the Green Bay Packers, though, Bruce. I mean, you could sit there and back and say you're going to have NFL opportunities, but for the Green Bay Packers, I mean, with Aaron Rodgers.
Lincoln Riley's from Muleshoe, Texas. I'm not sure he grew up saying, I want to be the Green Bay Packers head coach.
Okay.
Look, I think there's, with the success level he has, he's in his mid-30s. He is going to have a chance to get some big NFL job, pretty much whenever he wants it, I think.
You're saying the Cowboys. That's what he'll just sit back and wait for whenever Jerry Jones.
Maybe so. He knows, let's put it this way. I know some of the big Cowboy people are people that he knows and he's connected to. So to me, that would make more sense of him going up to Lambeau.
I mean, Mike McCarthy was a toll taker in Western PA, so I don't know if he dreamed about being the Packers head coach too, but what an opportunity that's sitting right there.
He was, yeah, but I think what's different is Mike McCarthy had come up through that path, and he wasn't the head coach at Oklahoma when that happened.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Bruce Feldman, last seconds with you here on the show. You mentioned a very good chance that Lincoln Riley is coaching a back-to-back Heisman Trophy quarterback. Do you really think Kyler Murray has zoomed past Tua and Dwayne Haskins? The last 3 weeks, I said this on the show yesterday with Michael Wilbon. What he did in Maryland, the pressure was on. The defense wasn't stopping Maryland, which, as you know, is his hometown, home area. Everybody was hoping that he would go play football at Maryland, and he balled out. Then what he did against Michigan, followed by the Big Ten championship game, is a hell of a closer on his resume. What do you think of this Heisman race, Bruce?
I think it's a great Heisman race. I think what you have right now is it's about as close as I can remember 3 guys being. I'll say this: the way I felt about the Heisman going into the weekend flipped on its head. I thought it was pretty close going in, and I think it was close coming out. But we're not supposed to reveal our ballots till that point. I'll just say this: I think it'll be really, really close. It wouldn't shock me if Tua wins, because I think a lot of people were leaning in that direction beforehand. But I think Saturday changed a lot of people's minds.
Okay, and you think they got the college football right, Bruce?
I do. I don't think you can put, Ohio State lost by 29 at Purdue, an unranked Purdue. They sputtered all over the place. They played one really good game at the end of the year with their A game. Oklahoma, they avenged their only loss, and they did it, I think, pretty impressively against a pretty good team. And Georgia has 2 losses. I'm sorry, and one of them is by 20 points. The games have to matter. They have to matter how you play.
All right, Bruce, really appreciate the time. Thanks for joining the show on a day where it was, expected but still surprising to hear Urban Meyer is no longer to be coach at Ohio State. Do you think, and last question for you, and I'm being serious here, do you think if Michigan had finally broken through with Jim Harbaugh against him, that he would have stepped away then under those circumstances?
I do think he would have stepped away, but I think he would have been a lot less pleasant when I dealt with him last Monday.
You wouldn't have dealt with him. You would have sat down with Jim Harbaugh before.
You're
that
right.
game.
You're exactly right. I didn't think of it that way. You're right.
And
I think this would have been probably a lot different the way it's being framed, to be honest, this press conference is going to be.
Bruce, appreciate the time. Thanks so much. We'll chat down the line.
Sounds great. Thanks, Rich.
You got it. That's Bruce Feldman, Fox Sports and The Athletic here on The Rich Eisen Show on the day Urban Meyer steps down at Columbus.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.